Hello. In the previous session of Data Communication and Networking online lecture series, we have started the unit Network Layer. In this unit, today's topic is Congestion Control Algorithms. Now, whenever there are more data traffic occurs that a network cannot handle simultaneously, the situation occurs which is called as congestion. So in this session, we are going to see the congestion prevention algorithms, the policies for that, and congestion control algorithms for that. So first of all, the first question arises is what is congestion? So when too many packets are present in the subnet, that means a collection of routers and communication links, performance degrades. This situation is called as congestion. What exactly happens in this situation congestion is that whenever there are too many packets arrives that a network cannot handle simultaneously, then some of the packets are lost. This situation where more data traffic arrives and the capacity of the network is called as the congestion. Now let us see this graph which indicates the congestion behavior. In this graph, as you can see, this is the graph of packets sent versus packets delivered. So, if we say that there is a perfect situation where packets sent are exactly same to that of packets delivered, then this is the graph indicating that perfect situation. But in the practical case, the packets or else the number of packets which are sent, it may happen that all the packets are not delivered correctly. Some of the data packets are lost while transmission. So it may happen that this is the desirable characteristics. That means some of the packets are lost, but there are very rare amount of that. But when the situation of congestion arises, this indicates the congestion which degrades the graph or degrades the performance, which indicates that whenever the number of packets sent are higher, but the packets delivered are less. So there are more chances of data packets that are being lost. So to remove this or to reduce the situation of congestion, there are some policies which are referred to as the congestion prevention policies. Now, congestion can be brought on by several factors. If all of a sudden streams of packets begin arriving on time or 4 input lines, the same output line, a queue will build on. That means a queue of packets will build up, which will denote that there are some packets which are lined up for the same outgoing line. If there is insufficient memory to hold all of that packets, that some packets will be lost. Even slow processor can also cause the congestion. So a slow processor can lead to the situation of congestion. Because of that, all the packets cannot be delivered correctly. There are principles of congestion control. So many problems in complex systems such as computer networks can be viewed from a control theory point of view. This approach leads to dividing all the solutions into two groups. First one is open loop and the second one is closed loop. Open loop solutions attempt to solve the problem by good design. In essence, to make sure it does not occur in the first place. Once the system is up and running, mid-course corrections are not made. Tools for doing open loop control include deciding when to accept the new traffic, deciding when to discard packets, and which packets are to be discarded, and making schedules that decides the outgoing packets in order. So this is called as the open loop configurations or as open loop control for congestion. Second one is the closed loop. So in contrast, closed loop solution is based on the concept of feedback loop. This approach has three parts when applied to the congestion control. First one is to monitor the system to detect when and where the congestion occurs. Second is to pass this information to places where actions can be taken. And the third one is to adjust system operations to correct the problem. So there are basically two types of solutions or problem approaches for congestion control or congestion prevention. First one is open loop and the second one is closed loop. It is similar to that of the concept of feedback in the control system. That means in open loop there is no feedback, and in closed loop there is a feedback system which provides the information at the output lines. Now let us talk about congestion prevention policies. So to prevent the congestion there are different policies at various layers. So we are going to consider the policies at three main layers. The first one is data link layer, second one is network layer, and above that there is a layer which is called as transport layer. So there are different policies at these layers. If we consider at the transport layer, the policies are retransmission policy, out of order caching policy, acknowledgement policy, flow control policy, and timeout determination. At the network layer, the policies are virtual circuit versus datagram inside the subnet. Second one is packet queuing and service policy, packet discard policy, routing algorithm, and packet lifetime management. Now at the data link layer, retransmission policy is there, out of order caching policy is there, acknowledgement policy, and flow control policy. So if you look at these prevention policies, transport layer and data link layer policies are similar to each other except one, that is called as timeout determination. Let us understand each policies in detail. The retransmission policy is concerned with how fast a sender times out and what it transmits upon timeout. A jumpy sender, or else you can say fast sender, that times out quickly and retransmit all outgoing packets using a go back end will put a heavier load on the system than the sender that uses selective repeat. Closely related to this is the buffering policy. If receiver routinely discard all out of order packets, these packets will have to be transmitted again later, creating extra load. With respect to congestion control, selective repeat is clearly better than go back end. Now next is acknowledgement policy. Acknowledgement policy also affects congestion. If each packet is acknowledged immediately, the acknowledgement packets generate extra traffic. However, if acknowledgements are saved as or are saved up to piggybacking onto the reverse traffic, extra timeouts and retransmissions may result. A tight flow control scheme reduces the data rate and thus helps fight congestion. At the network layer, the choice between virtual circuit and using datagram affects the congestion, since many congestion control algorithms work only at the virtual circuit sublines. Packet queuing and service policies relate to where the routes have one queue per input line, one queue per output line, or both. It also relates to the order of which packets are processed first, and in discard policy, the rule telling which packet is dropped when there is no space. A good policy can also help alleviating the congestion or else remove the congestion, and a bad one can make it worse. At the transport layer, the same issue occurs, which happens in the data link layer, but in addition to determining the timeout interval is harder because the transit time across the network is less predictable than the transit time over a wire between two routers. So here the another policy is also used. Now let us talk about congestion control in virtual circuit subnet. In this we will discuss about the admission control policies in virtual circuit subnets. So the congestion control methods described above are basically two types, open loop and closed loop. Now, in open loop, they try to prevent congestion from occurring in the first place rather than dealing it with after the fact. In this section, we will describe some approaches to dynamically controlling congestion in virtual circuit subnets. In the next two, we will look at the techniques that can be used in subnet. One technique that is widely used to keep congestion that has already started from getting worse is admission control. The idea is simple. Once congestion has been signaled, no more virtual circuits are set up until the problem has gone away. So this is how you can control the admission of the packets, which is referred to as the admission control subnet. So in datagram subnets, there are various congestion control techniques or policies. In this, the first one is the warning bit. Then the next is chalk packets. Third one is hope by hope chalk packets. Fourth is load shedding. After that, there is also detection, which is called as RED, which is referred to as the random early detection. Let us understand what this individually means. We'll also consider the jitter. So, first one is the warning bit. In that, what happens is that when the packet arrived at its destination, the transport entity copies the both bit into next acknowledgement that is sent back to the source. The source then cut back the traffic. As long as the router was in the warning state, it continued to send the warning bit, which means that the source continued to get acknowledgement with itself. As long as the warning bits continues to flow in, the source continues to decrease the transmission rate. So this warning bit indicates that there is a congestion situation arised, so it has reduced the flow of the packets. Next is chalk packets. This is used to indicate to the transmitter from the receiver that the signal that is referred to as the chalk packets is referred to as the congestion situation arised at the receiver side. In this approach, the router sends the chalk packet back to the source host, giving its best distance or destination found in the packet. The original packet is tagged so that it will not generate any more chalk packets further along the path and then forward it in the usual way. When the source host gets the chalk packet, it is required to reduce the traffic sent to the specified destination by some percentage. Next is hope by hope chalk packets. At high speed over long distances, sending a chalk packet to the source host do not work well because the reaction is so slow. So what happens in this case, that at every stage of the multiple router stage, the chalk packet is sent back to the host. Immediately after that, that reduces the packet flow at every routers or every nodes in the particular network. Next is load shedding. When none of the above methods make the congestion disappear, routers can bring out the heavy alternative solution, which is called as load shedding. Next is load shedding. When none of the above methods work properly for reducing the congestion, routers can bring out the heavy solution or heavy alternative solution, which is referred to as the load shedding. Load shedding is a fancy way of saying to the routers which are being overloaded by the packets that they cannot handle, they will just throw them away. That means they will start discarding the packets they cannot handle. The next is RED, which is referred to as a random early detection. It is well known that dealing with the congestion after it is first detected is more effective than letting it gum up the works and then trying to deal with it. This observation leads to the idea of discarding packets before all the buffer space is really exhausted. A popular algorithm for doing this is called as random early detection. In some transfer protocols, including TCP, the response to lost packets is the source to slow down. The reasoning behind this logic is that TCP was designed for the source to wired network or wireless networks, which are very reliable. So lost packets are mostly to buffer overruns rather than transmission errors. So this fact can be exploited to help reduce congestion. By having routers drop packets before the situation has become hopeless, the idea is that there is time for action to be taken before it's too late. So to determine when to start discarding, routers maintain a running average of their queue lengths. When the average queue length on some line exceeds at the threshold value, the line is said to be congested and action is taken. Next is jitter control. For applications such as audio and video streaming, it does not matter much if the packets takes 20 milliseconds or 30 milliseconds to be delivered as long as the transit time is constant. So the variation in the packet's arrival time is called as the jitter, which depends on the high jitter or low jitter. In some applications such as video on demand, jitter can be eliminated by buffering at the receiver and then fetching the data for display from the buffer instead of from the network in real-time applications. However, for other applications, especially those that require real-time interaction between people such as internet telephony or video conferencing, the delay inherent in buffering is not acceptable. So I hope that congestion control at various subnets and congestion prevention policies are there. In the next session, we are going to determine the QoS, that is quality of service, and based on that we will see some congestion control algorithms like leaky bucket algorithm and token bucket algorithm in detail. These are the references. Thank you for listening.